Wow, you guys are quiet quickly. Thank you. So welcome to the Islip May Town Board meeting, and I'd like to ask everyone to rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would ask this microphone. I'm going to ask a gentleman who is just such an incredible supporter of our youth in the community, comes to all of the events when the kids are being recognized, and that's the superintendent of Brentwood Schools, Rich Loshner, to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And he has a very appropriate flag on today.
Yes, that's right. See that? It's election day today. That's right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Carpenter.
Thank you. And he is reminding us that it is election day today. School board elections across the island, I think across the state too, are today. So if you have not gone down to vote, please do so. Well, each month we make an effort to ensure that the excellence, hard work, and dedication of our community members are recognized so that we may spread the news of our residents' success townwide. One group whose excellence we never run out of are our tremendously talented youth who make up our town. We're so fortunate in Islip to have some of the finest schools, clubs, and athletic groups filled with truly impressive scholars and athletes. And they're synonymous too sometimes. Today, we're honored to once again recognize standout members of our next generation, the East Islip Chiefs hockey team and our town's Minuteman Scholarship recipients. We'll start with the East Islip Chiefs hockey team. And why don't you guys come on up when I'm talking a little about you and your head coach, James Sutton, assistant coaches, Nick Campo, Joe DeDario. He's not here, sorry. Rob Bentrowitz and Eric Miklich. Last year, under the direction from this excellent coaching staff, the team won gold at the prestigious Can-Am Championship in Lake Placid. This year, for the first time in club history, the team secured a place at the 20 We have an announcement from the East Islip Booster Club.
We have one additional award. We'd like to honor the senior with the highest GPA. It's called the White Letter Award, and it goes to Matthew Brody.
So athletes and scholars can be synonymous. Congratulations. Okay, thank you all. Really, thank you.
Congratulations.
Why don't you come forward? And the town board members who disappeared, and maybe your coaches and you get a shot of you since you got that special award.
Everybody in the back, I want you to I have no idea what's going on. All right, gentlemen, look here. Mr. Brody, come on, real quick. Hold on.
So our next group joining us to be recognized are 5 students from the town of Islip who've been selected by the U.S. Army to receive the Minuteman Scholarship for their academic success and service to the ROTC. And I'd ask Steve Castleton to come forward. He is a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army and does so much with our veterans and so much in our community. Steve, thank you for bringing this to our attention so that we could properly recognize and honor these young achievers. The Minuteman Scholarship Program is a U.S. Army campaign dedicated to improve the total Air Force through the Reserve Officer Training, Army Force rather, through the Reserve Officer Training Program, the ROTC. The scholarship provides full tuition and fees, room and board $10,000 per year for up to 4 years at a public or private college. Scholarship recipients also receive a monthly stipend and a yearly book allowance. In addition, Minuteman recipients participate in the simultaneous membership program, which gives them experience with an Army Reserve unit while earning additional funding for their service. Having participated in their high school's ROTC program with dedication for our nation and scholarly excellence, Valerie, Jocelyn, Diana, Christopher, and Courtney proved themselves to be fantastic candidates for the Minuteman Scholarship. So please welcome from Brentwood High School, Valerie Rodriguez. Bring your check with you. Jocelyn Velasquez. Diana Saltos. And from West Islip High School, siblings, twins, Christopher and Courtney Scahill. Congratulations once again to all our scholarship recipients. We look forward to the bright future ahead for each and every one of them. Turn those checks around if you haven't already done so, and I'd ask everyone to take note to see just how much this actually is worth to each and every one of them. And I happen to have been invited to go to the ceremony at the county when they first were told to come, that they were getting an award. They didn't realize what it was all about. And then they got these, and their parents were there, and looking at their faces, and one of the parents that I spoke to subsequently said it was a life-altering experience for them. Can you imagine finding out on the spot that your child's college education is being paid for in full? So it really is remarkable, and in no small measure to all the efforts of these bright young scholars we see before us. So let's join in congratulating them all. And if the school superintendents, I know I saw Lochner, Rich Lochner, come on forward, and from Brentwood, and Paul Romanelli from West Islip, and Mr. Bridgman, the high school principal, anyone else who's here from the education community to join us in a photo, and certainly the members of the Army. And Steve, do you want to say a couple of words?
Sergeant Parson. She hates when I'm doing this because I'm going to embarrass her, but Sergeant Parson is responsible for finding these great students for me. If it wasn't for her, I never would have found them. And just so you all know, in the history of this program, this is the most money ever awarded in one town in an entire year since the program started. One more thing. In the Army,
Come forward, where's the microphone?
Oh, here, Mike. I'd like to thank our service members here, even though we made the wrong decision by not joining the Navy. But on that note, military appreciation, and I can't thank you enough for your service, what you do for this country, and what you're going to do for these cadets. You should be midshipmen, but you're going the cadet route. So congratulations. You're going to enjoy the Army and military life.
You know, if it's okay, we could just do with parents.
Yeah.
RTC mom will show up.
And this is for the boy, Diana, yeah, but she wasn't there.
Give a hug. She was screaming and thought the mark. She flipped out, no. He cashed already. You know.
Nobody said that before. No, they didn't. Congratulations. You don't have to say it. You're free to go. You're free to go. Congratulations. Really. Thank you, Brad. Yes. I know, my glasses.
We're all here today. We have a few quick announcements before we head into the agenda. As the warm weather certainly is here today, many of us are drawn to the water, and as always, safety is our utmost concern. And unfortunately, as we sit here today, they're searching for a second boater over on the North Shore. Next week, May 21st to the 27th, is National Safe Boating Week, and the town will once again be hosting their boater safety courses to both residents and non-residents alike. There are two sessions. One will be this Saturday, May 20th, and the second will be Saturday, June 10th. All boaters are required, as of New York State law, to have certification by 2025. And if you call Cultural Affairs at 631-224-5430, they can give you more information to get you signed up. We'll also be hosting our annual Boater Safety Press Conference tomorrow. So be on the lookout for water safety resources related to boating, pool safety, sharks, lifeguards, flags, and more. The water is one of our greatest recreational assets and the source of many happy memories and moments in our lives, but we need to respect it and be sure to stay safe, and let's keep it that way. Okay, as we begin town board meeting officially this afternoon, we have 4 public hearings for the board's consideration, and I'd ask the town clerk to please read the first hearing notice.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. The first hearing notice is to consider changing the official map of the town of Islip by deleting a portion of Cherokee Street.
Are there any questions on this hearing? Hearing none, motion
Motion.
to close.
Close the public
Public hearing.
hearing, offer the resolution for its adoption.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Madam Clerk, the second hearing notice, please.
The second hearing notice is again to consider changing the official map of the town of Islip by deleting a portion of Cherokee Street.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Make a motion to close the hearing. Adopt the public hearing. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. We will move then to the third hearing notice.
Hearing number 3 is to consider amending the town of Islip Uniform Traffic Code, Schedule J, parking, stopping, and standing regulations.
Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion to close the public hearing, offer the resolution for its adoption.
We have a motion. We have a second. Second by Councilman Lorenzo, offered by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. And the fourth and final hearing notice, please?
Yes,
Madam
thank
Clerk.
you. To transfer property located at 29 Church Street, Central Islip, under the Town of Islip CDA's Direct Sale Affordable Housing Program.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, motion? Motion to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution by
Second.
Councilman Guadron, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Thank you. Before we move to the agenda in the public portion, we'll have our annual report delivered by Ginny Fields, who's the chair of ITEC, our Islip Town Environmental Council. If you would come forward, Ginny.
Thank you. The members of ITEC are myself as Chair, Ginny Fields, Vic Bremley, Maureen Dunn, Kathy McConnell, Steve Geller, and Taylor Larson. Thank you for allowing us to present our Islip Town Environmental Council report once again. According to the Town of Islip statute, ITEC was formed in 1972. As stated in the legislative intent, the preservation and improvement of the quality of the natural and man-made environment within the town of Islip in the face of population growth, urbanization, and technologic change with their accompanying demands on natural resources are found to be of increasing and vital importance to the health, welfare, and economic well-being of present and future inhabitants and require forthright action by the governing body of the town of Islip. Establishment of a council for conservation of the environment is a necessary step in fostering unified action on environmental problems. The powers and duties of the council include advising the town board on all matters affecting the preservation, development, and use of the natural and man-made features and conditions of the town of Islip insofar as beauty, quality, biologic, integrity, and other environmental factors are concerned, and in the case of man's activities and developments, with regard to any major threats posed to environmental quality, so as to enhance the long-range value of the environment to the people of the town of Islip. In addition, the council is to conduct a program of public information in the community which shall be designed to foster increased understanding of the nature of environmental problems and issues and support for their solutions, among many other duties. To fulfill that responsibility, ITEC is presently working toward hosting an environmental fair in September regarding climate issues, environmental problems, and solutions. Topics will include the importance of native plants and biodiversity, pollinators, oyster farming, sea level rise, home composting, pesticides and herbicides, water quality, and coastal issues. Our hope is to inspire the public to take action in your backyard and steps you can take to preserve the beauty and resources of your community. Over the past year, we revised the ITEC website information so that users will have a better understanding of this council and its duties. In addition, we've met with individuals and organizations to educate our members about the challenges to our environment and enable us to better assist the town board. Reviving the Charles Pulaski Scholarship. ITEC is pleased to announce the revival of the Charles Pulaski Environment Scholarship. Established years ago to honor Charles Pulaski, it is now offered through the community service organization Keep Islip Clean. It is available to graduating high school seniors attending school within the town of Islip who will be pursuing studies in environmental science or related discipline or have demonstrated a sensitivity to the environment through leadership, participation in pro-environmental programs such as recycling, land conservancy, environmental cleanups projects, etc. This year's winners are Allison Ingracia, resident of Islip Terrace, who won $1,000 donated by Covanta, Louis Attard, resident of Islip Terrace, who won $250 donated by Surf Clean Energy, Nicole Mazza, resident of East Islip, who won $250 donated by Sunrise Power Solutions. ITEC and KIC, Keep Islip Clean, wish to congratulate the winners and thank the sponsors. And in the near future, maybe we can get them to come here. It was school today, but take a picture with the council and supervisor. Meeting the challenge of climate change and the new Moody's Analytics report on the impact of climate change on subnational economies. One of the 100 highest population areas in the country, Long Island, is listed fourth in the nation for the worst chronic physical risk from rising sea level, heat, and water stress. This highlights the necessity for the town of Islip to come up with a plan to meet this challenge. Our coastal communities are threatened by rapidly rising sea levels, fed by melting ice caps, which are disappearing faster than previously thought. NYSERDA's research states our shorelines may be inundated by 30 inches of sea level rise by the 2050s and by more than 6 feet by the end of the century. A family taking out a 30-year mortgage on a house in one of our low-lying waterfront communities may find themselves forced out of their home by the time the mortgage is paid. Clearly, our town must begin planning now on how it will control development and adapt infrastructure to meet this crisis in the near future. ITEC recommends that a special task force be formed to deal with this impending challenge. Thankfully, there are state and federal programs to help, and I've listed them on the reports that I gave you, and ITEC recommends the town should coordinate with grassroots organizations in these areas so that funding opportunities are not missed. The EPA is also providing help and has granted money, and you'll see the link attached to your report to find out more information. New York State has passed new laws that will help our transition to a low-carbon future. The All-Electric Buildings Act bans fossil fuel combustion in all new construction under 7 stories by 2026, with larger buildings covered by 2029. Again, you'll find information in the report ITEC recommends that the town board create a sustainability committee involving the municipal, business, and environmental communities to create a climate action plan that will guide us in this challenging time. This would stimulate our economy, maximize government funding for climate solutions, and protect our community. ITEC applauds the town of Islip for participating in the state's Clean Energy Community Program and encourages the rapid adoption of policies that can provide us with grants to continue the decarbonization of Islip, of town facilities and business. Encouraging the use of native plants. Native plants are the cornerstone of ecosystems in the base of the food chain that leads to our dinner tables. They provide food and shelter for native insects, birds, mammals, and other wildlife. Together, native plants and animals form a web of mutually beneficial interactions that is greater than the sum of its parts. By conserving native plants in the wild and planting them in designed spaces, we protect and enhance the integrity, resilience, diversity, and beauty of our planet. ITEC recommends that the town of Islip emphasize the importance of planting native plants on town and residents' properties. We have been working on informational environmental facts that will be incorporated in various places within the town of Islip. The report lists some of them. I won't read all, but I hope you will. Did you know the town of Islip Great South Bay Shellfish Cultivation Facility produces the highest quality shellfish and seaweed products for growers and distributors throughout the country? ITEC has been kept informed monthly about the hatchery and its status. The facility has made significant contributions to the cultivation and conservation of hard clams and oysters in the Great South Bay. The facility has been able to produce hundreds of millions of healthy shellfish larvae and seed. The production level for 2022 was over 40 million. These efforts have led to increased yields of naturally spawning shellfish, supporting both the commercial industry and the broader ecosystem. The aquaculture's greatest achievements include rejuvenation of the marine-based economy and improving the water quality of the bay through the increased production of millions of shellfish that efficiently filter the water and remove excess nitrogen. They also provide habitat for juvenile fish, crabs, and other important organisms necessary for a healthy ecosystem. The town of Islip continues to work toward finding ways to enhance restoration programs with ongoing research and collaboration between regional hatcheries, scientists, and policymakers to ensure a thriving future for shellfish and the communities that rely on them. It has established a bay bottom licensing program which encompasses over 100 acres of town-owned bay bottom in the town of Islip, which ranges anywhere from 1 to 5 acres. The program has proven successful as both a boost to the local economy and to those entrepreneurs who license bay bottom parcel for growing out oysters, hard-shell clams, and scallops. Once grown, the shellfish are marketed and sold to local restaurants and retail wholesale establishments. The town currently has a waiting list for future available parcels. Did you know if you simply leave the leaves in your garden beds, not only will they turn into mulch free of charge and improve your soil, but they also provide essential overwintering habitat for threatened butterflies and other pollinators? Did you know one full-grown oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water per day? Did you know the health of the Great South Bay is being jeopardized by nitrogen pollution? An overabundance of nitrogen has caused devastating algal blooms that negatively affect the many creatures that live in the bay. It's believed that the main source of nitrogen in the bay are 60% from septic tanks, 21% atmospheric, 7% lawn fertilizers, 1% farming. Some mitigation efforts include oyster farms that filter the algae, sugar kelp farms that extract nitrogen and other pollutants, along with elimination of inefficient cesspools on the South Shore. Did you know that PFAS, is a class of chemical that's quickly becoming the poster child of American failure to protect the public? So far, the evidence is showing that PFAS is linked to cancer, thyroid problems, infertility, and more. They're known as forever chemicals because they can last in the environment seemingly forever. They can also accumulate in a person's body, and people can be exposed through a number of channels. Military, firefighters' use of PFAS containing firefighting foams. There's also food, which is often packaged in containers that are coated with PFAS. That microwavable bag of popcorn might be a bad idea. Did you know dandelion flowers are the first food for insects after hibernation, and they include pollen and nectar? Home composting is a controlled aerobic oxygen required process that converts organic materials into a nutrient-rich soil amendment of mulch through natural decomposition. The end product is compost. You can compost at home using food scraps from your kitchen and dry leaves and woody material from your yard. Composting is nature's way of recycling. There's a list of what you can compost at home and what to avoid. And that report is respectfully submitted, but as an added note. ITEC wishes to address and commend Supervisor Angie Carpenter for the determination and effort you have demonstrated so far in your tenure in the town of Islip. We take pride, I have a cold, sorry, in your accomplishments and your commitment to excellence. Your choice of department heads and commissioners have also been exceptional. We have had an opportunity to meet and work with many of them. We also wish to address and applaud Town Clerk Olga Murray, whose tenure is ending this year, for your innovative work understanding and captivating the history of the town of Islip. Thank you for all of the contributions you have made. Best wishes to you in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ginny, and to all the members of the ITEC Commission for all of your efforts, working so closely with our department heads in particular, our planning commissioner who has a proud history of commitment to the environment, and also our DEC commissioner, Marty Ballou, who oversees the very program you were commending. And I appreciate your recognition of my efforts, but my efforts are in conjunction with this town board. They have been so supportive of all of our endeavors across this town to address our environmental issues. And we certainly will review the recommendations, and listening to it, I'm like, okay, well, we did that, especially the part about leaving the leaves on my lawn. I never got around to raking them, so I did a good thing. But again, thank you, and to everyone else on the commission, we appreciate you. I'm sorry, what?
Ginny, during COVID, I put a resolution together for pollinating friendly plantings. We're the only town that has that, and these are native plants on Long Island. So I work with Cornell Cooperative, I work with PS&G, and our local landscape engineer in the town. So Bell will get you a copy of that if you don't have, but we are the first town that did that.
Okay, we will then move to the agenda, the first item of which is the public portion. We do have a number of cards that have been filled out. Just to remind everyone, as always, you have 3 minutes to address us. We're going to listen to your comments. It's not a question and answer. But again, I would please ask, let's be kind. Let's be respectful. We're here to listen. We're here to serve. And there's no reason not to be respectful. So with that, I'd ask our first speaker to come forward, Jim Schlau.
Madam Supervisor, may I add to the record that on May 10th, one Barbara Cataletto supplied my office with a resolution for an audit of the New York State General 2022 election for your consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Consideration. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Just want to say, let's see, I thought finally with the going to these meetings that it would bring anodyne to the situation. It hasn't yet. I do want to say, give accolades to John Feehan and Aldo. That's code enforcement. They're very professional when they call me on the phone, and Lisa's a big help. I wanted to read this letter from the Wall Street Journal because people are reticent to discuss this, what's going on here in this sanctuary state. This is from Wall Street Journal, May 10th, 2023. two letters I'm going to read. And it's a rebuttal. Your editorial, Chicago Sanctuary City Awakening, points out the hypocrisy left-wing politicians enact progressive policies to demonstrate their compassion until they are affected directly, like I am in my neighborhood. For a while, soft-on-crime policies adversely affect poor and minority communities, not the affluent liberal white bastions that supported the police. COVID rules that shut down schools hurt those already falling behind because of failing public school systems supported by Democrats and teachers unions. All this while liberal elites sent their children to private schools that remained open. As we see now in sanctuary cities run by Democrats, an open border policy is endorsed until effects are felt, okay? As long as it remained a border state problem, however, Democrats had told Americans the crisis had been manufactured by the right. From economics and education, safety, and soon healthcare, the left enacts policies that hurt the ones its spokesmen say they are trying to help. Mayors Lori Lightfoot and Eric Adams and other Democratic leaders have demonstrated that they recognize the problem only when their class is affected, much like this board. Second letter, perhaps Mayor Lightfoot, as she leaves office in Chicago, should send a letter to President Biden asking him to stop the illegal immigrants at the Texas border. She must feel that Texas, not Chicago, a proud sanctuary city, should foot the entire bill for these people. Remember, this weekend, throw this in. My notes, 430 Clift, 6, 7, 8, 10. These are times. All the way up until 12:30 a.m., loud music. Cops came. Spanish. They'll always play it for the music. Don't tell me I'm racist, because they're the ones that are doing it. Doesn't make any difference. They're the ones that are doing it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next speaker, Andy Cross.
And once again, I'm here about the NYS real property tax law line on my tax bill. When I was here about the tax when it went up 41% in 1 year, you said it went up because the price of housing went down. The price of housing has went up at least the last 4 years in a row, and the tax went up also 4 years in a row. Although the tax came down this year, I believe the price of housing is going to be going down. And does this mean another 41% increase next year? The highway tax increased this year almost 10%. How could that happen when there was no snow last year to pay for? Where did all that money go? And why did the tax go up instead of going down because of the surplus? Was the highway commissioner one of the commissioners that got the $30,000 to 40%, $30,000 to $40,000 raise? And this is what he gives us, a tax rise to pay for it? Last year I was told here that my whole neighborhood was going to be repaved. What happened? I mean, you did 6 blocks across Bayshore Road in another town, West Islip. The roads were repaved 2 or 3 times. My neighborhood on the other side of Bayshore Road was done piecework, one at a time. In 30 years, And why are we second-class citizens compared to all the other towns who get theirs done 2 and 3 times in 30 years? Driving through Bay Shore, I saw the 5-story monstrosity where the college was. What happened to the zoning department? That let special interests put this up. People moved here from the city to get away from slums like that. And how much is it going to cost the ISIP taxpayers to subsidize the people who move in their rent with tax abatements? What happens when the Bay Shore Fire Department has to raise their tax because they don't have equipment to reach the top of this monstrosity?
Thank you, Mr. Cross.
I wasn't done, but it'll have to do for now.
Next speaker, Pat. I'm here today to talk about ISLIP ambulance and the charging for co-payments. Now, I spoke with the town controller, and he let me know that the town attorney, it was his fault that things got screwed up, and that he screwed up to himself. Now, I don't know the town attorney. This could be true because he did leave, like I said the last time, through the back door secretly. Meanwhile, his uncle is the one that funded your campaign. But ISIP ambulance in 2016, whose aging building on Carlton Avenue needs extensive repairs, $6.5 million. So the town voted for the budget for that, but it never happened. Okay? Then the town votes for a bond now. That was in 2016. Now the town votes for a bond for $8 million. Where's the $6.1 million? Nobody's answering about that. And then why was the building never tend to? Because it is the responsibility of the town to maintain the buildings. They were never maintained. And why was Ambulance Exchange, their lease renewed every year after right here at a town board meeting, the councilman says the building is unsafe. It's not up to code. Now in 2016, how can you say that? And every year since then, you've renewed their lease with no work done whatsoever. But yet, then again, in 2016, you voted for a $10 million bond for Bay Shore Fire Department. Now, the town is not supposed to vote on bonds for the Bay Shore Fire Department. Mr. Cochran, you insure them, you voted on it. So that was a no-no. Then you have H2M, they did all the surveying for the ambulance exchange on Carlton Avenue. Who's paying for that? They were out there. They were out there. And they told me, no, we're surveying for the new building. Who paid for that? The taxpayers paid for that for nothing. Then you have your contracts. And the last time you had them come here, the woman lied to everybody because the option was there. Thank you, Pat. You're welcome. Next speaker, Pilar Moya Mancera.
Somebody left a cell phone here. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Supervisor Angie. I'm coming here to fulfill a promise I made to you a couple of years ago. So my name is Pilar Moya Mancera. I'm the executive director of a tiny but mighty housing counseling agency called Housing Help Inc. We have been serving the Suffolk community for a little over 5 decades. For those of you who may remember, back in 2008 and 2009, we experienced one of the worst recessions and the real estate market crash. Housing Help at the time, and still now, we provide foreclosure prevention counseling for homeowners who are at risk of falling behind on their mortgages or who are already on foreclosure. Back in 2008, 2009, 10, 11, and 12, although our main office is in the Huntington area, we were serving several homeowners from the Islip area. Prior to COVID, I made a commitment to Angie and also to my own board that it was important to bring these services to the town of Islip residents, especially in an office that is accessible for, not only for your constituents, but in particularly for Brentwood, Central Islip, and Bayshore. So I'm fulfilling my promises. I'm happy to report that Housing Help is open a second office here in Central Islip at 225 East View Drive, which is at the Toro Law Center. We're holding our grand opening this Thursday, May 18th at 1 p.m. My assistant sent an email to you. I really would love to have you there. It should be short, just 1 hour. We are bringing services here. We are funded by the state of New York, so I'm not asking for nobody's tax dollars and I'm not asking for money. We are public servants who are here to serve. And especially now that we are experiencing, high inflation, economic stagnation, we already started seeing the failures of some of the banks. I am very concerned of homeowners. And this time around, I rather take a position of being more rather than, to prevent rather than a reactive, right? So hopefully, this time around, we won't have that many clients, but as it is, we have been already experiencing, working with homeowners at risk of foreclosures. And this is not only, people with mortgages, especially in this area. We're working with senior citizens who are, house rich, cash poor, who don't have a mortgage, but have fallen behind on their property taxes. We also work with them through grants and other financial assistance that is available. So I am happy to be here in your town. I'm happy to provide services to you, and I really look forward to working together, and I'm not asking for dollars. Thank you.
Well, that's a good thing. We are just delighted that you are opening that office here in our town. The work that your agency has done all of these years is certainly commendable and very, very needed. And I'm hoping that many members of the town board will be available to be there to help celebrate on Thursday. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Greg.
My topic is on the co-payments and service fees or user fees that you contracted with the 5 ambulance districts to charge the residents of Islip. But in December's board meeting, you mentioned that you learned that these fees were not to be paid. In other words, if a resident receives a co-payment bill from any of the districts, they should ignore the bill. Then you went on to say that when people dial 911 for an emergency service and they come to the house, one of the first things they do is present the EMTs with their insurance cards. Okay, so let's take those two equations and add into a remark you made last month that a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. Well, it sure is when you're telling people not to pay bills or to ignore bills. So if that's the case, Angie, the people that pay these bills, these co-payments, co-insurance, deductibles, who do they seek a refund from? Because you're signatory to every contract that was signed when you implemented billing. So what I would recommend, and after speaking to the controller, is that they call you. They call your office to find out how they go about receiving a refund. Okay? The number is clear here. It's 631-224-5506. call Angie and find out how you go about to get refunded if you made a co-payment or a co-insurance payment to a third-party billing service. Now, this would be the right thing and right approach to take. If you're telling the people to ignore their bill, that it should have never been even billed to them in the first place, you owe them a refund. Okay, and Rob Staterman told me point blank when I posed this question to him, it's up to Angie to allow us to give these refunds back to the people. They know who they are. They have a record of every call and every person that was billed. Okay? And the council people that represent these districts, whether it be Brentwood Legion, Hopog Central Islip, Batesville Bright Waters, Exchange, and even Community Ambulance over in Salem, which started billing recently. Okay? You should be looking into this for your constituents, because this is wrong. When you're taking this money from taxpayers, we're paying a line for this service. It's like if you go and buy a major appliance, you go for a service contract on a washing machine, okay? And so you never use that service that you paid for. But then you call them and you call them for a service. They're not going to charge you then above that service fee that you paid for that, having that insurance. Same thing with our taxes. We're paying the levy for that service. You're double billing taxpayers.
Thank you, Mr. Pepe, for bringing that subject to us again and again and again. And even though the controller and the town attorney have explained it, excuse me, I didn't interrupt you. Even though the controller and the town attorney have tried to explain, you don't seem to want to understand. That's unfortunate. But we are doing. Let me rebuttal you on that. I'm sorry, there'll be no shouting out, and there is no rebuttal. You had your 3 minutes. Thank you for coming down, but please let them enlighten you. They've tried to. We are not trying to scam anybody, least of all our hardworking taxpayers. And anyone who is due a refund will get a refund. Next speaker. Tommy Topol. I'm sorry, I think that might be Tammy.
Topel.
Okay, there we go. Okay, you have your 3 minutes. Go to the microphone and give your name to the clerk.
Yes, but
Yeah.
if they, I'm going to read it, and so they can follow along if they would like. All right, my name is Tammy Topel. I am from Northport, New York, and I'm going to read the resolution for audit that you received from Barbara. Resolution for an audit of the New York State 2022 general election. Whereas it is recognized civil right of the United States for every citizen to have a free and fair election. Whereas it is the affirmative duty of our election officials to comply with the federal and state laws governing the administration and procedure of our elections, thereby guaranteeing our elections are accurate and free of distortion or manipulation. Whereas our constitutional system is representative government only works when the worth of honest ballots is not diluted by invalid ballots, and assuring accuracy can only be achieved through the operational integrity of our elections as defined by those laws governing the following 5 processes. Number 1, rigorous verification of voter identity. Number 2, proven ballot security, intact chain of custody. Number 3, voting system certified to be secure from operational, physical, and cyber threats, meets all FISMA state operational and risk assessment requirements, meets auditability and traceability requirements and operational policy. Whereas an open source audit of the New York State 2020 general election conducted by New York Citizens Audit has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that violate both federal and state laws, including, number 1, 2.4 million New York State voter ID numbers attached to 1.1 million registrants. Number two, 740,000 ineligible votes cast statewide. Number three, 338,356 more votes cast than voters who voted. Number four, 987,000 voters who registered on January 1st from 1900 to 2021. Number five, 1.9 million registrations in the state voter rolls missing from the county rolls. Number six, 625,000 more registrations than voting age citizens in 6 counties alone. Number seven, 195,000 votes cast in New York City that went missing in the voter database. Number eight, 1 million plus felony violations of New York State election law. Number nine, 95 state and federal legislative races impacted by 740,000 illegible votes. There were abandoned ballots and ballot payment schemes, and the certification as defined by law was provably fraudulent and illegal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Valerie D'Souza.
Good afternoon. I'm just going to pick up where she left off. Whereas these findings trample accuracy requirements of voting systems for a federal election, wherein the system shall achieve a target error rate of no more than 1 in 10 million ballot positions. For a voting system, accuracy is defined as the ability of the system to capture, record, store, consolidate, and report the specific selections and absence of selections made by the voter for each ballot position without error. Whereas it must be known factually and provably that the intent of the voters is accurately represented by election results before certification can be lawfully conducted. Certification of an election that varies from the law is an abridgment of the civil rights of the citizens. A fraud ab initio, United States versus Throckmorton, 98 U.S. 61, 1878. Whereas state and federal officials have met the efforts of New York Citizens Audit to seek redress for these egregious violations with indifference and inaction, including the Attorney General, Secretary of State, State Board of Elections, Inspector General, Federal Bureau of Investigations, state leadership of Democrat and Republican parties, county election officials, sheriffs, district attorneys, and others. Whereas none of these violations were addressed prior to the administration and certification of the 2022 general election, and there prevails a spirit of extreme contention and zero trust between people of differing political ideologies across New York, which is destructive to our families, our way of life, and the fabric of these United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Next speaker, Patrick Wynn.
And I'm just going to close where Valerie has left off.
And just for the record, where
Sorry?
you reside?
In this.
Wisconsin. Okay.
Therefore, we call upon our representatives, including town board members, county legislators, state legislators, federal legislators, law enforcement, federal and state prosecutors and judges to provide relief to the people and assurance of domestic tranquility through the fulfillment of each of the following firm requests. A complete end-to-end audit of the New York State 2022 general election for both paper and electronic records, including ballots, by a mutually agreed upon external third party bonded auditing firm possessed of adequate insurance and indemnification for the handling and protection of the personal identifying information of millions of New York citizens in order to determine the true error rate. This audit will provide a comprehensive report and analysis of all lapses and errors with explanation of cause where it can be determined. The enactment of legislation defining mutually agreed upon process by which an end-to-end audit would be triggered in any future elections. The enactment of legislation defining a mutually agreed upon accuracy rate for the New York State voter and county voter roll databases. The enactment of legislation allowing for anonymous vote verification and tracking by the voter, open source, royalty-free, patent pending, including automatic mechanisms to report the remedy errors during the canvass period following an election, regardless of ballot entry source. Criminalize election misconduct explicitly with regard to state election law, and increase penalties to reflect the societal and generational harms inflicted by these crimes. Be resolved that the Town Board of Islip, New York stands in support with the concerns and remedies presented here. We implore the Suffolk County Legislature, New York State Legislature, federal legislators, law enforcement, federal and state prosecutors, judges, and both state and county boards of elections to cooperate and fulfill these firm requests of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all the speakers who have signed up. We have a motion to close the public portion. Thank you. Councilman Cochran, second. By Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor, opposed, the public portion is closed. To the previous three speakers, I know one has been here last month. I'm not sure if it was all of you, about this very issue. We, as a town board, have absolutely no jurisdiction over the Board of Elections. That rests with the Suffolk County Legislature and New York State Legislature. So I really would urge you, if you haven't already done so, to take this issue and your comments to the legislature where they can have a real meaningful, they can really address it. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, excuse me, there is no, thank you. We will move to the agenda. The first item on the agenda, meeting of the Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency. Mr. Walzer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the agency board. John Walzer, Executive Director, 40 Nassau Avenue, Islip, New York. I have several items for your consideration today. The first item would be to approve the minutes from our last board meeting on April 18th.
Any questions on the minutes? Hearing none, motion? Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
I'm sorry, did we make a motion to convene the meeting?
Oh, I am so sorry. So we'll have to redo that.
Okay.
We will make a motion to convene the meeting of the Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor, opposed. The agency is convened, a quorum being present. And the first item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes.
Yes.
Are there any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you very much. The next item for your consideration is an inducement resolution between the agency and OL Coventry LLC, located at 725 East View Drive in Central Islip. This project involves the construction of 100 units of multifamily rental housing on 8.5 acres of vacant land. This project represents a $36.5 million capital investment.
Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. The next item for your consideration is also an inducement resolution between the agency and 00 Rajon LLC on Rajon Road in Bayport. This project involves the construction of a 50,000 square foot spec industrial building on 3.26 acres of vacant industrial land. This project represents an $11 million capital investment and promises to create a minimum of 22 jobs.
Okay, are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guard Jones, second. Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor?
No.
Opposed?
No.
We have 4 in favor, 1 in opposition. The motion carries. Next, item 5.
Thank you. The next item I have for your consideration is another inducement resolution between the agency and 33 Rajon LLC at 33 Rajon Road in Bayport. Similarly, this project involves the demolition of a 75,000 square foot former Wenner Bread Bakery facility and the construction of a 123,000 square foot spec industrial building on 8 acres of industrial land. This project represents a $33 million capital investment and promises to create a minimum of 55 new jobs.
Okay, any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardian. All those in favor? Opposed? We have 4 in favor, 1 opposition. The motion carries.
Okay.
Next, item 6.
Yes, number 6 is for your consideration is an authorizing resolution for a project that we induced at last month's meeting between the agency and Water Lilies Foods at 250 Creative Drive in Central Islip.
Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardron. Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. The next item I have for your consideration is a resolution authorizing the assignment and assumption of the Century Direct project at 130 Hoffman Lane in Islandia to accommodate a change of ownership at the company.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Guardron, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. And the last item for your consideration is a resolution authorizing the assignment and assumption of the Century Direct project at 15 Enter Lane, also in Islandia, to accommodate change of ownership.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
That's all the business I have for you today.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardon. All those in favor, opposed, we stand adjourned. Thank you. And we go now to the meeting of the Town of Islip Economic Development Corporation. A motion to convene by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardon. All those in favor, opposed, we are convened, a quorum being present.
Thank you. Members of the Corporation Board, I have just a couple of items for your consideration today. First is to approve the minutes from our last board meeting on January 24th.
Any additions or changes to the minutes? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardon. All those in favor, opposed, approved.
Okay, and the last item for your consideration is a resolution authorizing the corporation to accept grant funding from New York State Economic Development Administration for tourism marketing.
And thank you for all of your efforts on behalf of this. Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardon. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
And that's all the business I have for you today.
Okay, there is no other business to come before us. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardon. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the cleanup board up resolutions.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the town board and the town clerk. Jeffrey Panacci, Assistant Town Attorney, 655 Main Street, Islip, New York. I have 3 properties on for your consideration here today. Number 1 is to board and clean up the premises located at 7 First Avenue in Central Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists torn down fencing, multiple broken windows, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. Number two, to board up the premises located at 92 Ocean Avenue in Bay Shore. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists holes on both the east side of the dwelling and under the front door of the dwelling, as well as the presence of a quantity of rotting wood attached to the dwelling, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with the property interest in this premises.
I see a for sale sign on this premises, yes?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Supervisor.
Well, hopefully it will be moved quickly.
We attempted to contact the agent through our office, through law enforcement, when we received the request to complete the board up. They were made aware of what was going on, but we didn't see any change in the circumstances at the property today.
Okay. Any questions? Motion? By Councilman Guadrone, second. By Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 3.
And number 3 is to clean up the premises located at 236 Evergreen Avenue in Central Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists litter and debris, including decaying wood, broken patio furniture, a pool ladder, plastic bags, broken fencing, dead tree branches, and other assorted household debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons, with a property interest in this premises.
Do my eyes deceive me, or that miscellaneous debris includes a mannequin?
I believe there is something to that effect. Yes, look, either a mannequin or some sort of martial arts item.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. Next, item 4, appropriation transfers. Are there any questions? Here, motion by Councilman Cochran. Second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 5, Town Board approval of the revised list of individuals submitted by the Bay Shore Bright Waters Rescue Ambulance Corps for participation in the 22 Active Volunteer Workers Service Award Program. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 6, bid awards. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 7, option year resolutions. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 8, authorization for town clerk to advertise for public hearing to consider amending local law 3 of 23, amending Islip Town Code, chapter 68, section 68-324. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 9, authorization for town clerk to advertise for public hearing to consider amending the Town of Islip Uniform Traffic Code. I'll make that motion. Second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 10, authorization for the supervisor to execute the option to renew DPW 4-2019 with Wells Back Electric Corporation. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran. Second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 11, authorization for supervisor to enter into an agreement with Suffolk County Department of Public Works for the installation of 2 rapid flashing beacons on Higby Lane in West Islip. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 12, authorization for supervisor to execute a 3rd amendment to the agreement with Corvell Corporation. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 13, authorization supervisor to execute the option to extend the agreement with ES BOCES for the Work Experience Program. It's turned out to be a real success. Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Okay, item 14, Town Board acceptance of the 4th Annual Action Plan under the Town of Islip's 20-24 Consolidated Strategy and Plan Submission for Housing and Community Development Programs. Any questions? Hearing none, motion? Motion by Councilman Guadron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 15, Town Board approval, appointing the Town of Islip Youth Bureau to host drop-off sites throughout the town to collect donations for the school supply donation drive program. Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guadron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 16, authorization supervisor to award the bid and enter into an agreement for contract DAT 2023-22 with Simbrand Aviation Services. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guadron, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 17, authorization of supervisor to execute a consent to the assignment lease by and between Hawthorne Global and EFI. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 18, authorization for supervisor to execute a professional services agreement with Johnson Kokata and Lucchese PC for construction services at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Motion? By Councilman Guadron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 19, authorization supervisor to enter into agreement with Lyft Inc. to provide ground transportation services at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Motion?
Yes, question.
Yeah.
There is no cost on that project, is it? Should be zero cost.
Yes, I had questioned that. Okay. Okay, an email went out. It is zero cost on this, and I believe the next one also. Motion by Councilman Guadron, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Yes. We are at item 20, authorization supervisor to enter an agreement with Riser New York LLC to provide ground transportation services at Long Island MacArthur Airport. And there is a correction on the sheet, not in the reso, but that cost of the project should be zero. Yes, we do get money. Thank you. Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 21, authorization for the supervisor to execute any and all documentation for the renewal of the cooperation agreement with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation for the operation of Anthony Casamento Park. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Guadron, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 22, Town Board acceptance of a monetary donation from Catholic Health Good Samaritan Hospital to fund the Town of Islip's 2023 Entertainment Series. Proved to be a very popular program for the town, and we do appreciate their sponsorship of it. That motion by Councilman O'Connor. Do I have a second by Councilman Guadron? All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 23, acceptance of a donation of plants and materials from the Parks Foundation to be utilized at the Town of Islip's 9/11 Memorial in Islip. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 24, authorization with the supervisor to enter into various agreements for programs to be held throughout the town to be funded by either registration fees or grant fees. Are there any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guadron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 25, authorization for the supervisor to apply for and accept funding from the Suffolk County Office of the Aging for expanded in-home services for the elderly program known as ISIP. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadron. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 26, authorization for the supervisor to execute a commitment letter and any other documentation for state assistance from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation in connection with the advancement or approval of several construction projects. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guadron, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 27, special events. Any questions? A lot going on. We actually had one big event, and I want to publicly thank the Parks Department, the staff, anyone who participated in our Country Comes to the Country Club Festival at Holbrook last weekend was a huge success. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 28, authorization supervisor execute an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Suffolk for a term of 20 years to allow the county to utilize a certain premises located on the south side of the Brentwood Railroad parking lot. Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. This is long awaited, something that we've been advocating for a long time. The bus shelters that were on Brentwood Road, right in front of Ross Park, 5 of them, believe it or not, have proven to be a nuisance over the years. We've been working to get them moved to a more appropriate spot. And apart from everything else, forget about the people hanging out and doing drugs and other things there that were less than appropriate. It caused a real traffic jam up because the bus would stop on both sides of the road and make it difficult for traffic to pass. So it's going to really help traffic flow on Brentwood Road, and the bus stops are moving over adjacent to the north on the railroad property, which really makes a lot of sense. So thank you to all who helped make that happen. We move now to 29, authorization of supervisor to enter into an agreement with Flagstar Bank N.A. as an authorized depository for the town of Islip for 2023. Bless you. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 30, authorization for supervisor to sign the planning board special permit application and any other documentation related to the town-owned property known as the Bayshore Marina. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 31, authorization for supervisor to execute an agreement with ProChamps to provide services of developing and maintaining an ordinance and mortgage in default registry. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 32, Town Board adoption of the Town of Islip policy for supporting nursing employees in compliance with Section 206-C of the labor law. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 33, authorization for supervisor to execute a lease agreement with Atlantic Central Storage LLC for usage of certain property located on Udall Road in North Bayshore. Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 34, Town Board approval for the use of SLFRF funds for the purpose of constructing an on-site sewage treatment plant in the Lexington Village Sewer District. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadrone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Bless you. Item 35, Town Board approval for the use of ARPA funds for the purpose of constructing drainage improvements townwide. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. And item 36, authorization supervisor to execute a lease with Yamaha Finance Corporation USA for 70 Drive 2 Quiet Tech EFI Golf Courts. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. And it is the beginning of golf season. Our 3 courses are at the ready. They've been very popular with the weather that we've had, and use our local golf courses. I think that's it. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadrone. All in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.